Welcome to the Varsity Voices podcast, where every week we bring you the inside information and insight on Chicago Catholic League football. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and like us on wherever you're listening from. You can also find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search for the Varsity Voices Chicago Catholic League Sports. You feel free to leave us a comment or email us at varsityvoices312@gmail.com. I'm Joe Frevaletti, and here with me is my co-host, Dan Frevaletti. And we're back today with another one of our preseason special episodes of From the Coach's Office. This time we've had a chance to sit down and talk with head football coach at St. Ignatius, Matt Miller. Before we get to that interview, Dan, we've got, let's see, how many days? 20, 30, 20, 28 days? Do I have that right until our Friday Night Blitz episode coming up?
2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 19 days.
19 days. I'm way off.
You better get ready. You better up your prep.
Uh-oh. Yeah, my schedule just got a lot more difficult. Yeah. But as we mentioned in some of our previous episodes, we're going to be doing the Friday Night Blitz segments where we're going to be live. We're podcasting live. We'll also be streaming live to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to be bringing you the live scores and updates from all of the schools around the Chicago Catholic League. It's going to be fun. We want people to be involved. And what else do we want, Dan?
Well, I love that it's going to be live. We're going to be monitoring the games, giving out scores, talking about what's happening around the Catholic League, listening for those people who can't be at the games, maybe alumni who are out of town. They can come in and check and find out what's going on. Rival schools after their game ends. Coaches, players, fans, parents will be hopping in the car or getting out using their phone. They can go ahead and join in on the stream. They can reach out to us and chat. They can do all sorts of things, but mostly they can get the information that they want from the Friday night football games, and particularly the Catholic League. So it's going to be a lot of fun, like you said, live and hectic and all over the place. It's going to be our version of the Westwood One NFL
Right.
NFL look around. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. And for our listeners out there anybody who wants to, get involved or maybe be a part of that more so than just listening, we're giving you that option, right? Reach out to us and let us know if you'd like to be one of our correspondents who's, calling in maybe to the live show directly, or checking in and leaving us a message in chat as far as how the game is going and maybe some of the highlights, doing that, 3, 4, 5, 10 times a game. We'd love to have you involved. So if you'd like to do that, leave us a comment or contact us at our email, which was varsityvoices312@gmail.com, or on one of the social media sites. So the more people we have as a part of it, I think the more fun it'll be, Dan.
Yeah. Can we call ourselves Varsity Voices Nation yet? Do we have enough to be a nation?
I think we're getting there.
We are getting there. Yeah. We're getting there.
We're close to a nation. Maybe we're just a city.
State.
Right now.
Right. A city. A small city.
A small city. We're working our way up to state.
Right.
Yeah. And then after that, I think nation is close to follow.
Yes. Varsity Voices Nation is growing, building, becoming more powerful. And Friday Night Blitz is only going to enhance that. So make sure you get involved. Get involved. Yeah. You want to talk about your school. You want to get some pub for the school. You want to, if you're a student and want to build a portfolio for broadcasting or announcing, anything like that, you absolutely should be reaching out, calling us, getting on the air.
Yeah, students, those in your media clubs, your broadcast clubs, are part of the broadcast for the sporting events at your school. You want to get your broadcasting chops. You want to work on it a little bit. Be a part of our Friday Night Blitz segments.
Right. No regrets. Don't say, I wish I would have.
Oh, I should have did
Get out
that.
there. Get out there and do it. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
And
So
know these guys suck over and over again.
right. Get used to it because for the rest of your career, you're going to hear that a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So back to the interview with head coach from St. Ignatius, Matt Miller. So they've had, obviously they've had a lot of success over the last, it was longer than I had thought, when I started doing a little bit of research and looking at that. But they have been a really good football program for a fairly long time here, last 5, 6, 7 years, Dan.
Yeah, they are. COVID kind of throws everyone off as far as timelines of how long people have been good. But yeah, they have been on the move for several years. And, I'll reference a little bit in the interview. I talk about they're a double jumper or double hopper. They have moved up multiple divisions in subsequent years. So they are really, really on the rise when it comes to a program. Numbers are up. The coaching staff is in place. They're running the same offense. They run the true triple option. They may be the only one doing a lot of that, or only that that's left in the Catholic League. Joliet Catholics diversified their offense. Same with Mount Carmel in a big way. So these guys are still triple option, grind it out, control the clock. They do it very well. Really, really creates a hassle to try and play them, in the middle of the season, changes all your preparation on the defensive side of the ball. And then they play great defense. So that's the other key to this is that they are very stout defensively. And it sounds like they're in a similar position this year.
Yeah. So we talked to Coach Miller a little bit about this, but it's like, here's what success gets you, Coach. You get moved to the blue division, right? Which, as we know, is, a lot of people would say probably the toughest division, within the Chicago Catholic League. You've got Loyola, you've got Mount Carmel. Who else? You've got
Brother Rice.
So, yeah, now you get moved to the blue division, then you get bumped up to 8A, but that hasn't held them back. I mean, last year they were bumped up to 8A for the playoffs, right? And look how far they got. They want to be able to take that next step, and Coach talks about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're right there. They're right on the cusp, I think.
Yeah, and they are, they're not backing down from anyone. And even with losing the big defensive tackle.
Justin Scott,
5-star tackle, headed to Miami, probably started practice there. And but he is was a huge difference maker. Needed, an opposing coach needed to know where he was at on the field on every play, as far as how you were going to attack them. I know he missed some time, but coach said that, that's always, well, not always, but can be a blessing in disguise. You get some people, some reps who may have not had that opportunity. They could be young guys. So it sounds like they feel pretty good about the returning talent. And they expect to be in the mix for that championship, by the end of the year. And I think I saw first rankings, and I can't give them credit because I can't remember who it is but you wonder if the blue division's the best division, right? How about the number 1 and number 2 teams in whatever ranking I saw? And then in Loyola and Mount Carmel, I think Brother Rice was in the top 10.
Brother Rice was there. I think Marist was there.
Marist was right there. Nazareth was there. And St. Ignatius was there, I think, maybe in the 10 to 20 range.
Yeah, I think they might have been 18 in that top 25. But, I mean, if you look at those 25 teams in that top 25, and was that in the what was the geographic, scope of that? Was that
it was not just. It just was not in the Chicago area. No, that was just Illinois. Because East St. Louis was, I think, number 3. Right. So yeah, there were a couple schools that were not in the Chicago area, so, but it was a heavily Chicago area influenced top 20.
Yeah.
So rightly so, and well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know enough. I know East St. Louis and some of the schools down in like St. Clair County and those areas have good teams year after year. But yeah, just for a top 20, we saw a lot of Catholic League.
Yeah, for sure, and rightfully so, like you just said, because they've put in the work. They've got the history of being top programs and winning a lot of games and getting far or deep playoff runs, winning state championships. So it just makes sense that those schools are there, the top 25.
Yep.
But Coach Miller, he addresses some of those things, talks about his team, talks about the division as well as the playoffs and what their goals are for this year. So let's get to the interview with Coach Miller from St. Ignatius.
Sounds good. Welcome to a Varsity Voices special episode from the coach's office. In the virtual studio with us today is head coach of St. Ignatius Wolfpack and 2023 Green Division Coach of the Year, Matt Miller. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
So we're in an off period for high school football, and I always consider it the quiet before the storm. So do you spend your time, are you furiously planning? Do you try and get away from football, or is it somewhere in between?
Good question. For the first time in a long time, I've gotten away a little bit. Heck, since COVID, I've been getting after it quite a bit, and I finally, after years, got an Xbox. I got roped into playing NCAA football for the first time in a long time, and so I have been spending a little bit of time away.
Great. So you have you're getting there as far as your tenure of coaching in the Chicago Catholic League, Coach. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the course of your career in the league?
Well, of course, the big one is I was a part of the former CCL when we were in the white division before we had the merger with the East Suburban. And so 2019, and we played Bennett that year, was the first time that we tried this thing out. And obviously COVID hit and all that, and we've made it through it. So that's been quite a big change. For us personally, we just had a lot more participation. When I first got in the job, that was a big priority, is just to get more kids playing football. And that's really helped us to compete. As it stands right now, we're not using any guys two ways. And when I started, we had 9 two-way starters, and we were down to 19 varsity football players in 2019.
Yeah. So you mentioned your numbers are up. Has that been trending up for the last couple of years? I know some programs' numbers are down, but they seem to be kind of rebounding at this point. How is your program doing numbers-wise, Coach?
We peaked a couple years ago with our levels, so we're down a little bit by 10 kids, but relatively speaking, from when we started, we're up quite a lot. So we have 100 and what was the number? 150, I think, was the number for this past, or close to 160. And 2019, we had 56. So we've had a big growth. We had 162 as our peak, and then we're down just a little bit. But we're able to field 3 levels, and that's been huge for us also.
Coach, you mentioned you're in the white division, and in 2022. And here we are 2 years later, and you've made what I call the double hop, all the way to the blue division, which is represented by a combination of the largest schools, having the most participants, along with a high level of success. And it's congratulations on all your success. Now go play Brother Rice, Loyola, and Mount Carmel. How do you feel about that?
It's certainly different. I mean, week in, week out, it's good competition. And we double jumped, started from the white, and then we double jumped with the addition of the couple schools we had last year, and then we ended up winning the green. So that's really what kind of just vaulted us And then we've also now been multiplied as well. So we're 8A when we were 6A. So it's a great challenge for us. I think that everybody wants to show that they can compete and rise to the challenge. We're going to need to play really, really well. But that was really the goal long term. I didn't think it would be this quick. I didn't think you could double jump. But thinking of climbing our way through the divisions over the years was certainly something that we had thought about.
Does that jump, bump up to 8A as well as moving to the blue division? Does that change in any way the way you prepare, maybe differently than you did before, Coach?
I think a mental side of it for sure. Every year, every season, you're trying to evaluate how your summer went, your install process, and your fall and all that stuff. And so, like any year, you're trying to compete. But I think mentally it's been such a big thing for us because really nothing's ever good enough. We're just constantly on the guys about improving. A few years ago, and we were maybe in a different middle of the conference, and we're playing 6A, we feel really good. But knowing that what our competition is, just can't be satisfied with where we're at. So we're certainly pushing the guys. We laid down the challenge. We knew what was happening back in January, so before the off season even really got going, we were talking about what was in front of us and who's in the blue, and really the other challenge is that not only you play the blue, but then all your crossover games are strong as well. So we've been just talking about it, never satisfied, and we'll just keep pushing them because we know what's in front of us.
So you're a triple option team, which I think you ran it, reading the bio, and I could have this wrong, but I think you ran it in college, and you were the offensive coordinator before you took over as a head coach. Is that correct? So what is it? Yeah. What is it about, other than familiarity, that you like about running the triple option?
Yeah, I think that it gives you a chance year in, year out to be competitive. Obviously, bias, but you don't necessarily have to have certain personnel or things. Last year's left tackle, he was 5'5", 205, and I don't know another system that we could compete in 8A, now CCL Blue, without having certain things. You don't necessarily have to have a traditional quarterback or a bell cow running back that you give the ball to every play, or particular sizes and strength and speeds and all that. So it's the ultimate team offense, and I think it gives us the best chance to compete.
Well, it looks to be in really good hands. You've got some all-conference players returning, quarterbacks returning, if I remember right, and the fullback with Emmett Callahan, and the quarterback is Jack Wanzung. Am I pronouncing that? Yeah. Wanzung. Okay, so not only with your offense overall, but who else will you be looking to this year to kind of lead the team?
Yeah, you mentioned Jack. He's a huge part of what we're doing, and having any system having the quarterback returning is a big perk. But he won Player of the Year last year for the Green, and was a huge part of our production, but also a really good leader, and is just another coach on the field. So he's of course going to be huge. A couple of the guys that really made some strides. We've got the 3 interior linemen, which in the triple option is a big piece of what you're doing too. So both guards and center are returning. 2 seniors and a junior. Chris Morris will be a 3-year varsity guy in center. J.P. Boback started at guard for us. He'll be a senior, and then played a lot last year as a sophomore. Omar Sadan will be a junior on the team. So good size for us. Most of them are pretty much anywhere from 260, 270. I think Chris is honing in on that 300. So we got some good size for us in the middle of the offense. That's going to be huge for us. Another guy that's returning that will be a big piece is Liam Hines on the offensive side. He's a guy that was newer to football, didn't start playing until sophomore year, and then ended up starting as a junior, and is really a good athlete who's learning football. So he'll play A-back for us, and he'll be a big piece. And then, defensively, Emmett mostly plays linebacker, and he'll be a 3-year varsity guy. Emmett Callahan will be inside linebacker for us. He was all-conference. And Liam Doyle will be another guy, too. He had a whole bunch of tackles for us last year playing safety. Teddy Kale was an interior defensive lineman who'll be coming back. And so, we've got some. The 25 class is good for us. There's not, it's hard to kind of point to a one superstar, but the amount of quality football players we have, I think, is pretty good for us.
Yeah, and I know it's tough to replace some of that talent, especially someone like Justin Scott, Coach. But who are you looking to kind of step up, into that role this year?
Sure. Yeah, you don't really. There is no second one. I'll be lucky in my lifetime if I see another guy like him. And so, you just got to kind of pivot to, playing to other strengths. He missed offensively. He got hurt in the second game of the year and really ended up third game putting him out for multiple games. And so offensively, he didn't play. He played a game and a half on the offensive line. And then when he returned, we just let him play defensive line. And so, obviously, him being in the middle of the defense, in any defense, it's important. And a lot of teams would change protections, run certain plays. They would do a lot of things differently. Even if he wasn't making an impact physically on the game, the play calling was altered with when he was out there. So, you just can't replace a guy like that. And so, we have to build around him and get the other 10 guys on the field. Offensively, we'll probably never get another 300-pound fullback. I mean, when he came back from his injury, instead of putting him on the O-line, we put him back at fullback, and he gave us a pretty good spark in our Week 9 conference championship game, and then again in the playoffs. So, I'm not so sure we'll get that again.
Yeah, I saw some of the video on that. I thought, oh my gosh, trying to tackle him has got to be a nightmare. So, switching gears a little bit, I always tell people that I think St. Ignatius looks like it's straight out of central casting for a Catholic school. The field is also incredible, from the neighborhood feel on the north sideline to the Chicago skyline to the east and northeast. But how much do the players love playing at that venue?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a unique place. I think every visiting coach you get to talk to, we had a ton of college recruiters last year come through here, and everybody was just like, and these are guys that visit everywhere in the country, and they're like, this is incredible. And the home game with the backdrop of the Sears Tower, I mean, and really the other view of the school that's lit up on the other end is pretty cool too. So we're very fortunate to have these facilities. We've got across the street from the school, there's 2 additional turf fields that's where we practice every day. And so we are spoiled with the athletic facilities that we have.
Yeah, so Coach, congratulations on outstanding season last year and the year before. Deep playoff runs. I'm sure you have your eyes set on playoffs again, another deep run, probably a state championship as well. What does it take to maintain that level of play and hopefully avoid any down years?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it starts with an off season, and I don't want to say the word, the taboo word of recruiting, but you just got to make sure that you have numbers in the program, and that's being flexible with other kids and other sports, and making sure that they can do both, and you're accommodating and making them not choose, and that's really been the big thing for us to keep and maintain numbers. We do get a good number of kids coming in that are not just coming here. When I first started here, we really had a lot of kids that came here for the school, but chose, I'll play football, and thought it'd be nice to do. Where kids we have now are coming here for both, and that really makes a big difference with their dedication level. You're not having to pull teeth to get them to come work out and do extra things to get better and compete. So, we have kids that are athletically focused, and especially on football, that has been a big piece for us and to maintain and have good, healthy numbers. We start training in January, so you got to keep. We were fortunate too to get a new weight room this past year, because as we've grown, we've had some real logistics issues with fitting in the weight room and training. And our first workout here, we had 95 kids this January, so it's hard to fit in certain spaces in the school, especially being in a city and landlocked and all that stuff. I mean, so it's still with a weight room, with an off season, with keeping quality numbers, and then we have to execute and play well, and that's kind of brings back to that system team offense. It's not necessarily one individual that needs to do anything extraordinary. We just everybody to play well and play together.
So, Coach, I'm not digging for bulletin board material here, I promise. But when we asked about rivalries, we spoke with DePaul head coach Michael Passarella, and he had zero hesitation listing St. Ignatius. I have kind of two-part question: is do you agree with that? Would your players say the same thing? And do you see trying to make that an annual game in the future?
Well, we are somewhat locked into our schedule at the moment. We have SLU High out of St. Louis that we've contracted for 2 years, and then we've been playing Fenwick as a rival. It's a non-conference Week 2 game. So we. So I don't want to give out any bulletin boards. If you ask me who the rival was, I'd probably want to say Loyola, and I'm sure they would. We have not been competitive playing Loyola, so they certainly have been growing quite a bit, and every year more and more competitive. But we have not communicated about scheduling a game.
Yeah, so I've just got one more question for you, Coach. Dan may have another one or two, but a year from now, we're sitting down again for another interview. What do you hope we're talking about as far as St. Ignatius football and what's happened over the past year?
Yeah, I think that what a lot of our guys talked about this year, and what I'm sure myself and our coaches feel, is that we want to prove that we belong. I mean, we want to win the CCL Blue. We want to win an 8A state championship, and this is our chance to prove it. We've hung around a long time. It was like, well, we make the playoffs. That was like a 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row. We make the playoffs and lose in the first round. And then 2 years ago, we finally got over the hump and won the first playoff game in school history. And then we had our long run, and we were 6 seconds away from going to the 6A game, and then. Last year we, had 2 wins in 8A, so we've been climbing in that regard. But now you're in the big leagues, and so you've got a chance to really prove it. It's 8A, it's the top division in high school football here in Illinois and in many states. So it's our chance to prove it. And so I hope that you're looking forward that would be our goal is that we have proven it by having success regardless of where we're at.
Well, Coach, I have one more question, and thanks for your time. But so Joe asks all the serious, deep, meaningful questions, but I really want to know, you're in one of the great eating locations in the city. Where is it that someone who's around there on a day-in, day-out basis, where is it that you like to go to eat?
Man, so if you're talking this neighborhood here,
yep.
I got to give a shout-out to our place down the road because they host the coaches after basically every game. Little Joe's, two alums that own the bar down the road. But there's Busy Burger right behind the school that makes a pretty good burger. Fontana Subs is pretty unique. It's a little walk from the place, but you've got some pretty good options.
Yeah, there's no shortage.
No, Al's Beef is right behind the school. If you just take a little bit of a walk, you can find plenty of stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do that. Joe and I have said we're going to cover some games. We've got to know the best places to eat. And being two Italian guys, we're familiar with Taylor Street, but I always, like I said, I want to know about from someone who's there on a regular basis. Well, Coach Matt Miller, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time today and for being on Varsity Voices from the coach's office. enjoy this week of the calm before the storm. Best of luck this season, and we hope to talk to you soon.
No, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Coach. Bye-bye. So that was Coach Matt Miller from St. Ignatius. A couple of things that I love about that interview and some of the things that he said, Dan, were they're looking to improve all the time. They're looking to, make a statement that they belong, right, from an, in 8A and with the big boys. Never satisfied. Challenging the players, to get better and better. Those are all things which are really important for a program, especially one that wants to be perennially at the top of 8A and competing for a state championship every year.
Yeah, what I took out of that too, and part of that preparation, Joe. We know the off season, 95 kids show up for lifting the first day. 95. That's more than a lot of schools have in their entire program.
Amazing.
Yep. and to have 95 there, that shows a great level of dedication by the players. I am sure they're going to be really prepared. And there's like I said before, there's no backing down. They are in it. They know where they're at, and their attitude is just bring it on. No changing goals.
Right. No changing goals. We've asked some of the other coaches about what do you tweak from year to year, based on what you've seen from last year, or maybe a change in division or that type of thing. And Coach Miller talked about the mental aspect of the game, right? They've got a ton of talent on the field, but there's always that last piece or that little piece that maybe takes you over the top. And from their standpoint, it might be that mental aspect, right? We're in the blue division. Yeah, we know we got to play these teams, these blue blood teams that have been around and so successful, but we're ready for it, and we're going to prepare for it mentally as well.
Yeah, and I think maybe at some point in their recent run of success, there may have been an issue of belief, right? Can we? I think that's gone. I think they believe. I think they are ready. I think they have a senior class that is done nothing but win. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run. It would not be surprising at all. It would be to the football landscape, given their conference or given their division, but it wouldn't surprise me knowing what they have returning, where they've been, and how they prepared.
Yeah, but they don't have an easy road, like every other team that we've talked about in the Chicago Catholic League. I mean, look at their schedule. I mean, first of all, their in division games, are obviously going to be, very difficult with some of the teams that they play. Plus, they're out of conference games. I think he said I don't know if the team from St. Louis comes to them this year or they go there, but
they are hosting them.
They're hosting them.
Yeah.
Another good team. So their schedule is a grind for sure, and a buzzsaw, and whatever you want to call it. We call it a headbanger, all those things. So
I mean, they play Fenwick, and as a non-conference game, week 2 at Fenwick. So they are really, really in for a rough schedule. Fenwick, IC. I think their crossovers are IC and Marist, maybe Montini this year. So they've got a really, really tough schedule. So, the thing with a lot of these schools, Joe, and we've said 100 times, they can be really good and not make the playoffs, but they're going to have so many playoff points, regardless of record. They would have to be one of the first ones. But 8A, 8A, you don't get a ton of opportunities if you're 4-5. So that is, and I'm not saying that's their plan, but I think that they're going to be in a great position based on their schedule, and if they have the success they think they're going to have.
Yeah, I would not be surprised this year if there were more 4 and 5 teams that get in, for one reason or another. I think one of the other coaches mentioned that, a lot of the programs in the state are going to the 8-man football.
Yeah.
Which obviously is not a part of the state playoffs. So the number of teams that are available for the playoffs at the different levels, is probably going down. So I wouldn't be surprised that there would be more 4 and 5 teams, like Nazareth last year, but other teams this year that get in to the playoffs with that record.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as the season unfolds how that works out. And thankfully, there's gurus that know those playoff points like the back of their hand. So
right.
So they'll be doing a lot of that. I think a lot of people thought Naz was in last year. I know coaches who I talked to that were 4 and 5 said, "Yeah, I just don't think we have quite enough points." So they all have a pretty good idea, now that how the schedule and the playoffs break down, how they what chances they have. But I think you're right. You're going to see some more 4 and 5s in.
Yeah, and I don't bring that up thinking that St. Ignatius is going to go 4 and 5, right? Because I don't believe that for 1 second.
Right.
I think they're going to be a really solid team this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did as well, if not better than last year.
Yeah, you just can't discount that triple option offense. Returning quarterback who's really good. I think we've both watched a little film of Jack Wanzong, and he can really run. He runs that offense. He's making the right reads. So one player makes a mistake on defense, goes to the wrong responsibility, and it's out the gate.
Yeah. And Coach Miller said that. He said, don't underestimate the importance of having a starting quarterback returning, right, for their senior year. So he was good last year, maybe great last year.
Yeah.
I can imagine what he's going to be like this year. I'm sure the whole team is ready to compete and take that next step, I'm sure.
Yep. 19 days. We'll start to find out.
19 days and 19 days until our first, what are we calling it, Dan? Our first segment?
Friday Night Blitz.
Friday Night Blitz. Yeah. If you want to be a part of it, listeners, make sure you reach out to us at varsityvoices312@gmail.com or on any of our social media sites. You can reach out to us there. Leave us a comment wherever you're listening to the podcast at. And we'd love to have you involved. So, make sure if you are interested to reach out to us because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Joe, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, but I just wanted to do a couple shout outs before we wrap.
For sure.
Here.
Do it.
Yeah. So a couple good, one St. Ignatius alum who I wanted to shout out, my future son-in-law, Teddy Hans, great guy, really, really follows St. Ignatius. I give him a hard time being a Bennett guy. We go back and forth a little bit, but he's a great guy. He's kind of my first personal exposure to St. Ignatius, and just a wonderful kid. And his father, Ted Hans, who used to be on the board at St. Ignatius, another really good guy. So shout out to those two. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our graphics person, Andrea Artino Frevaletti. So we're keeping it in the family.
In the family. We
yes.
like it that way.
Yeah. And if anyone has seen some of the graphics associated with our social media posts and the posts on Spotify or YouTube, they are really well done. Andrea's done a great job of kind of trying to get a little bit of the flavor of the school and the coach in there. I think they look great on Instagram. I know that they have great music associated with it. So if you're seeing this on Instagram, make sure you click on the music because she does an awesome job of picking cool songs that kind of go with the team and or the coach. So a couple shout outs there. Wanted to make sure that those people know we appreciate them, and we're happy that we have them on board as part of Varsity Voices Nation.
Varsity Voices Nation. We've gone from a city right past the state. We are now a nation.
Full nation.
And I will second that, Dan, because Andrea does an outstanding job with the artwork and other things as far as our social media is concerned. And, when I look at what she puts together, sometimes it makes me excited to listen to our episodes. So,
Yep, it's a good job.
That's how good it is. Oh, and Teddy, I know he doesn't live in the area anymore, but we may have to talk him into being a correspondent for Friday Night Blitz for St. Ignatius.
Oh yeah, he'd be great. Yeah, he can follow and chime in. I'd like to get him on air. He's got great radio pipes. So he's got a good voice for radio. Pipes. So
that's important. Yeah, we have great faces for radio.
Yes,
he's got a great voice.
Yes, we've got neither thing that not great voices or great faces for either avenue. So
right. All right, so that's it for this special episode of From the Coach's Office, and thanks for listening. Make sure you tune in for our next episode. We'll be bringing you another special edition of From the Coach's Office. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, or like us on wherever you're listening from. We're also on X, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and you can find us by searching the Varsity Voices Chicago Catholic League Sports and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you come back and listen to our next episode.